Yahweh, God and Creator, we offer thanksgiving for this blessed and holy opportunity to embrace within your presence. We embrace your divine love, holy and sanctifying grace. Yeshua, we thank you for your holy protection. We breathe as one, drawing upon the life-giving breath that is God our Creator. Yeshua almi kusasimirietoto avun sol ola voshandere kamunirvia. Yahweh, I thank you that you precede us in this time. Ilai kushna kundarvis mesiaro, orrohom likavru kotetiri kesmasiramu, orrachondalevis mesiliamentru kobriana. And this week, I feel like God is drawing me to the place of importance as it relates to your talents and skills. I've been blessed to witness so many gifts and offerings of how God's presence rises within so many people. And remember that your talents and skills are minuscule compared to God. And over these past weeks and months, I've been led to speak to the importance of surrendering into that which is God. Breathing a life-giving breath within God's presence for all things you encounter. And even though our skills and talents are minuscule compared to God, we can embrace God for even the simplest of tasks or conversations. And we will find the content and outcome of our tasks and our conversations increased beyond measure by God's presence within. And this can extend to every aspect of our encounters, including the physical union that we embrace with those we love, that God's presence can guide us to bring higher blessing into all things. I have so many examples that I could share with you, and I do want to speak specifically to our brother Andy and our sister Deb as they continue to help provide the wording for the channels, the Grace Healing Ministries channel on YouTube, for the website input, all the dialogue that gets put forth in these. To me, as I encounter people in my life, it really doesn't matter to me what a person's skills or talents are, because I know God within them manifests God within them, and God's presence manifests something even greater than they thought they could produce themselves within their skills or talents or gifts or abilities. And this translates even to our workspace, within our work lives, within our professional lives, within our spiritual growth, within, again, our relational unions. If we would honestly become practiced in the truth that what we are defined by in observations of other people in the human existence, how they define us. Oh, that person's a gifted whatever, or that person's a gifted athlete, or this person's a gifted business manager, or this person's a gifted technician, or this person's a whatever. It doesn't matter. Those things we can continue to excel in, but I would suggest to you that you surrender the things that you excel in into God's presence, and they will increase. I've been blessed to witness this in my work life. As many of you know, I've had a building business over the years, past 30 years, and I used to dive commercially, and I've done many things throughout my experience. Lobster shipping company that I used to own, a number of different experiences on a business level. And there's always been this awareness within me, not by my understanding, but by God's grace within me, to surrender myself and allow for God's Spirit to rise within me. And I remember specifically I was working on one estate. We were at about $5 million in the estate, and there were a number of things we had to do towards the completion of this process. None of us in the team had ever encountered this. And at the time, I had like 17 guys working for me, and about 9 of them were on this job site. The other ones were off on other places. And we came to these situations where they were just beyond all of us. And as I surrendered in prayer, I had very clearly that I needed Jim to do this, Dwayne and Fred and Richard to go do that, Pete, Mike, and David to go do this, and I had a very clear understanding of what I needed from each individual by task, as if a blueprint was formed within me and an understanding was present to rise. And this was a number of years ago. This was back actually while we were doing this. It was the next day after we got started on this particular project that the towers in New York went down, so it was 2001. But again, it's about surrendering oneself into God's presence. So it didn't matter that at that time I had over 20 years building experience. It didn't matter that the guys surrounding me had a collective probably 100-plus years of building experience. The reality was it was beyond us. But in prayer, and I engaged with 3 individuals in the group that were able and present to receive prayer, but the importance is helping people to understand that even the skills, gifts, or talents that we walk within God manifest at a higher level. As I was describing in this multi-million-dollar project that we were working on, we had no knowledge of where to go within it. But in prayer, God guided us to a higher level and a higher result, and there was no delay in the process. The people that I was working with couldn't quite grasp the understanding that something we didn't know a few minutes before was all of a sudden laid out before us, because again, we are there to reveal God's glory. And again, what is God's glory? It is order, unity, clarity, love, unity, all these aspects. So if we surrender even within our gifts, talents, or abilities to God's presence, God will elevate those gifts, talents, and abilities to reveal exactly that, God's glory, his holy design. And that includes the order, the clarity, the proper completion of a product or demand. And again, that to me is what I understand God's glory to be, all things in proper order, the evidence and revelation of his knowledge, wisdom, and clarity. So even if you think you hold certain skills, levels, or talents, whether it's in the building process or the sales process or the technical process or the management process, whatever it happens to be, submit those gifts, talents, skills, or abilities before the presence of God in a conscious awareness. The simplest aspect of one simple breath. God, it is your breath that flows through me. I choose to engage within this, my call, to reveal your presence in all that I do. So again, if you're in a sales role, God's presence will rise within you. You'll be more heightened in your ability to actively listen, to be heightened in your ability to gain and draw people forth with information. When they ask a question, you won't immediately respond in a question. You'll be moved to a place to say, well, I need to understand more about what you're asking. Please tell me why that question was most important to you. You will move to a place as a technical ground when you're working with people in technician setting where people will present a problem or an issue that they're facing, and God will raise you to a higher standard of active listening to draw forth more information of what's going on, and God will form within you the blueprint towards result, towards blessing. Management. You will surrender into the process of God's presence, and in your gifts, talents, and abilities to manage a situation or a project, you will find that you will be increased because God's glory will begin to rise, and God's glory known, anything that is not of God will be revealed. Any situation that you encounter that is not of God will be made known in order to be released, and then you will bring proper counsel to the people that you stand before. This is what I believe is available to us in each and every moment, and why I've been guided by God, I believe, over this past month or so to speak to the importance of surrender. You may have caught when I just said this, that even one simple breath. Many people plunge in because they feel they're so proficient at something. I can just do this, and they just jump in. They don't stop and breathe, the breath of God's presence into that moment, and they just head in at their own high-level skill. Again, a person highly proficient in sports, very athletic, whatever, fantastic, that's great. What I'm trying to define is to take even your high level of proficiency in technical abilities, athleticism, management, sales, building, whatever it happens to be, submit that before God, trust and know that God's Spirit, God's living word, God's living waters will flow through you to bring things to a higher order. So yes, on this property that I was working on, we were able to complete these tasks and complete the process and bring in the proper people to facilitate the things that needed to be done. And to these guys that were professionals within this ground, they didn't even know. This was totally a new idea to them. But we were able to complete it, finalize it, and the owner was ecstatic with the result. So, please, if you find yourself complimented by others, raised up by others, told to be good at something, please remember that that is minuscule when it's aligned with God. For God can manifest through you and raise your level of skills or attributes to a higher level of production. A higher skill result. In other words, God's glory revealed in even the simplest tasks of your day. And Yahweh kutalaberi sisiri yandro komna, undarava hashmak underve sisiri yandere kundrava. Tu rest the fiala makotoria, tutarevishnik yandere visnisieri yondrava. And Yahweh, we stand in awe, thanksgiving, praise, and worship to know that your Spirit has named us friend, that you reside with us and you will never forsake us, that it is by your power and grace that we will find that even in our conversations, we will be elevated to speak to people of any level of understanding. Even as an individual called me this week that was an atheist that had a desire to trip me up. Turns out that the language God blessed upon my tongue was language that was specific to quantum physics and understanding. I've never been trained in that, but it turns out that he was a quantum physics practitioner and physicist. So even though he was an atheist trying to undo, I didn't know he was doing this, but the conversation moved to this place where God moved it into a place where he was able to understand the language, fit it into his construct, and move back to awareness to say at the end of the call, wow, I've never thought like this. Maybe I need to think this through more. So to me, I'm in awe of God at all times and trusting that God's presence will emerge for the sake of revealing his glory. What was his glory? Rising in that moment in their conversation with the person who is an atheist to present them plausibility beyond their own understanding, which fit with the minuscule level of their understanding on an earthly level. And it raised and elevated them to a greater understanding, one which made them challenge their own beliefs. So I pray for each of you that you would allow for God's presence to rise through you in each breath that you receive, and trust and know that God's grace and glory is here to rise in each and every moment. And Yahweh utalu kombrias vasiliandresh, uragos vasiliandravashna. Yahweh, God and Creator, we offer thanksgiving for this time and pray blessing upon each and every breath we receive so that it might magnify your glory as we choose, first, to breathe your life-giving breath, second, to engage within our gifts and talents, to allow for your presence to rise above our perceived notion of the gifts and talents we hold, as we praise you in your most blessed and holy name. Yahweh, Yeshua, Amun, Silkeliun Dalavashna, Aliu Katuria Veshnadium, Elohim Olavo Shosheria, Ila El Halal Alamekayus Sibiria Tuturiava. Amen. Have a blessed and beautiful night. Be filled to overflowing with God's presence, and enjoy everything you do as you engage within your lives. We at Grace Healing love you all dearly.